stagnancy that in your personal, not just your rituals, but also in your self development. So tune in, get ready to take notes. We've got some Let me know if you can hear me. Testing, testing. How's the audio now? Might have to start over. Always something. Always something. Well, in any case, as I was saying, this is a 9-year. Get ready. I'm sure you've already experienced a healthy 40-day dose of this 9-year. 9-year is perfect for manifestation. However, there is an unseen danger that comes along with this. This particular 9-year that we're dealing with has very tamasic undertones. Very tamasic undertones. And for those of you who don't speak Vedic, what that means is there is the heavy potential for a tendency to be stagnant, still, depressed, dead. So pay attention. I'll help you understand what you need to know spiritually to avoid that. So if that sounds like something that you're interested in, hit that like button and let's get with it. Peace and greetings. Peace and greetings to everybody present. Isaiah, peace, peace. Zero, peace, peace. Laya 369, peace and greetings. Felix, peace. Okay, so are we good now? Can you hear? Everybody in the chat that's present, let me know if the audio is working. Because previously you said that it wasn't, and I need to know that it is, so I don't waste my breath. All right. Seems like we're going good. One person says that it's good. We'll run with that. J. Baldhale, peace, peace. Nadraj Ram, peace, peace. Audie Moore, peace and greetings. Kevin Wise, peace family. All right, so we're doing good. Check this out. 9-year, Hermit card, right? You guys understand why we call this a 9-year? Because if you add up the numbers of the year, 5 plus 2 plus 2, we get 9. So in an easy way to break down the energies and the influences of what's happening here, we attribute that to the tarot. We attribute that to the Kabbalah. In particular, this is going to be the 20th path. So what we're going to be seeing is a lot of events, circumstances, and inner development that's going to be reminiscent of the number 9. So that deals with the moon, as far as Yesod, the etheric plane. That also deals with energies of Virgo, which has to do with transformation, hidden transformation. So what we also have here dealing with these influences, at least for right now, is the 2, right? Which is going to be the High Priestess. And you can see that the High Priestess sits at the threshold of mystery. That which is known and that which is unknown. Or I should say that which is seen and that which is unseen. That which is seen and that which is unseen. Which goes right along with the Hermit card. Peace, Gerald Sombright. Speaking of which, the other energy that we have at play right now is the Aquarius energy of the star. So these 3 figures come together to give us a very unique flavor. So, what are we dealing with right now? All of you have experienced this 9-year hermit mode for the past 30 days. Now, for you, it's either going to have played out in one way or another. Some of us have experienced the dark side of this hermit energy, which has to do with us having this feeling of being isolated, being tucked away, being hidden, retreating, right? Retreating from the public eye. Some of us have experienced a relapse of depression, or maybe even a relapse of addiction, right? These are the dark sides of the hermit mode this 9 year. Some of us have come into the year with high hopes, but have had this, like I said, depression, this relapse of addiction, this cutting off of contact. Shit, I went through that, right? That's what I was feeling. Coming into this year with high hopes, but n- taking for granted the power of the earth energy that is present right now. See, I talk a lot about elemental forces, and right now there's a dominance of earth energy that's happening, which means that you've got to adjust the way that you're moving. You've got to adjust the way that you're working with this energy. Everything that I said about manifestation being at its very, very most fertile state right now is true. But the thing is, to be able to harness that, you've got to change how you're operating right now with this energy. Now, everyone isn't feeling that way. Some people are experiencing the light side of hermit mode, which has to do with this process of regeneration. Some of us are turning our attention inwards and really healing ourselves. That has a lot to do with shadow work. That has a lot to do with your physical health. You're taking steps to possibly eat healthy, do more exercise, cut out sugar, cut out fats. A lot of you are doing certain things to get your body right and to get your mind right. Both of these, the dark side and the light side, are examples of what's happening with this hermit energy that's happening right now. And if that's you, let me know in the chat if you're experiencing the dark side or the light side of the hermit energy so far, which is fine, because January, or I want you to understand this, that's not the failure that I'm talking about here. January, Janus, you'll know the symbol of January is the two heads facing either way. The two heads facing either way, welcoming in the future and saying goodbye to the past. It's a transition year. January is a transition year. So if you've been feeling that dark side, or hell, even the light side, that's not a telltale sign of what's going to happen for the rest of the year. This is just your transition from the fiery energies of the previous year to the earthy energies this year. That fire has to dwindle out and turn into ashes and embers, right? This is a transformation. So again, what you've experienced the past 30, 40 days is just how you've transitioned from the 8 year into the 9 year. Okay, just checking the chat. Looks like a lot of people are resonating with what's happening here. Fantastic. Dark Reaper 12, peace. Cool, cool. Stray Panther 79, peace, peace, my God, peace. Okay, and some people are actually feeling both, and that's accurate too, right? Because all of that is wrapped up with the hermit energy. And, you know, even though all of us here that's watching this video is going to resonate with this, there are going to be some people who this message is not for, right? This message is not for some people. Specifically, this is not for people who have taken upon themselves to walk the spiritual path. I don't want to go too much into, you know, NPCs and all that stuff, but an NPC has nothing to do with what you know, right? That in itself is NPC dialogue. It has nothing to do with what you know. It's not about whether or not you know the latest conspiracy or you know about the latest buzzwords or whatever. You can know all that shit and still be an NPC. NPC is not about what you know, but it's how you know. It's how you know, and it's the center of your intention, the center of your identity. At the very core, fundamental aspect of all this right here, we're dealing with two principles: consciousness and energy, consciousness and matter. So if you are operating from the perspective of matter and you believe that you are matter, you can rightly say that you're part of the game. You can rightly say that you are an NPC. But if you're operating from an aspect of consciousness, which is eternally, well, not eternally, but for now, seeking liberation from matter, then you can say that you are not an NPC. So it has nothing to do with what you know, but it's how you know. If you're still trying to win in the game, you're still a part of the game. But if you realize that this is a game, and you're seeking what reality is, that makes you not an NPC. So, with all that being said, for people who still believe that they are part of this game, that they are still part of matter, this message is not for you. So, let's get back to it. Let's get back to it. So, when we talk about this hermit path, this is what we're talking about specifically. Those who've chosen the path of self discovery, who have chosen to actually undergo the descent into the unconscious for the sake of higher awareness. Now, astrologically speaking, we can identify the hermit with Virgo. Now, that doesn't mean that if you are a sun sign Virgo or a moon sign Virgo that, you know, this is an extra special year for you. But what it does mean is that everything, all the energy that a Virgo sign represents, that's happening for everyone right now. So it would be a good idea to look at where Virgo is in your chart, because that's going to be a part that you might want to pay attention to. But it has to do with descension to the unconscious for the sake of higher awareness. Isolation, solitude, these are key themes. Seclusion, introspection, breaking contact, breaking attachments, and the ultimate sacrifice, right? The ultimate sacrifice, which is, of course, like I said before this, is understanding that you are not matter, that you are not energy, that you are consciousness. And in order to truly come into the knowledge of self, you've got to understand what non-attachment is. In other words, perhaps it's a great idea to start coming to terms with that realization. Start coming to terms and coming to peace with the fact that you are not a part of this world. In the world, but not a part of the world. Because ultimately, one day the body will break down and die, and you're going to be left with consciousness. And the more acclimated you are with that realization, the better you're going to be. Can I get an amen? Or is anybody offended yet? Mo B, peace, peace. Mo B says, this year is my hermit path. Absolutely. Ultra Instinct, peace, peace, my God, peace. Roses and Rot says, I have 3 Virgo placements in my chart. I am not an NPC. Awesome possum, good to have you. Wraith636, peace, peace. Ace in the place, peace. El Sanchez, peace and greetings. Yes, yes, peace to everybody here. Okay, so let's keep going. You know, there's a few things that I want to say. Some of it will be following a specific path. Some of it will be a bit random. For example, if you are somebody who is initiated into the Qliphoth, it would be a good idea to study Yamatu at this time. Study Yamatu, the spirit known as Yamatu. This is the one that's going to help you get through this. Those of you who are doing astral projection work, dream work, pay very special attention to dreams of stones and rock sculptures, right? Pay attention if you have any dreams of stones and rock sculptures. Many of you will be seeing Stonehenge or the pyramids, something very similar like that, either a week from now, within a week from now, or a week before seeing this broadcast. So a lot of you have either seen Stonehenge or the pyramids, specifically Stonehenge, within the past week or the following week. There's going to be something very important to pay attention to when it comes to stone sculptures, to monoliths. That is the territory in the astral plane of this particular entity, Yamatu. Pay attention to that. So what's happening here is, as far as this shift, as far as this dark side shift or light side shift, what's happening here is you're acclimating to a new way of manifesting, a new way of experiencing what manifestation is. And when I say this new way, what I mean is that manifestation, intentional manifestation, is the result of knowing how to appropriately work with the 4 elements. Because duh, everything is created out of the 4 elements. So knowing how to appropriately work with the formulas of the 4 elements is going to give you intentional manifestation. So we just shifted as we shift every year, every month, every week, every day. The shifting, that's what Prakriti is. She's like this tumbler that constantly turns. And there are different puzzle pieces inside of her. And as she turns, as the wheel turns, the puzzle pieces shift and they shake and they move. And this is happening all the time. So when someone talks about a shift, there's always a shift, literally, right? Somebody said, oh, we shifted dimensions when Kendrick Lamar performed. That's true. right? You also shifted dimensions when you woke up this morning. It happens on a frequent basis. Now, the important thing about being a magician, a magus, is being able to identify what elements are at play. What are the most uh, integral elements at play now, so you can understand how and what to do at this moment. So, as I said, right now, there's a very strong earth element aspect here. Now, what happened in January, and a lot of you have been easing out of it, what's happened in January is you really feeling that shift from one mode to the next mode. Um, and again, like I said, that's what these tarot cards, that's what I have right here, is a strong resemblance of what's happening here. Obviously, the two we're dealing with February, that's the High Priestess, and right now we're in Aquarius season coming out of it. So we've got a strong air element aspect dealing with Aquarius, and there's a watery aspect dealing with the two, with February, with the moon. So let's keep going. How do we move with this? How do we go with the flow? What's happening here? So there's two things that I would say you really want to pay attention to in your rituals, right? Two things that you want to organize. Listen close. The first thing you want to organize is your sexual energy, right? The second thing you want to organize is your ancestor altar. Now check this out. Regardless of which side, whichever side you found yourself on, the dark side or the light side, as far as hermit mode, understand that you want to pay attention to your coping mechanisms. Your coping mechanisms. If you find yourself on that dark side of the hermit mode, becoming a recluse, staying away from the general public, cutting off your friends and family, and just really like hiding from the world, if you really felt that strongly, I want you to look at these coping mechanisms that you've chosen to use. What are you soothing? What are you healing? Right? Not necessarily why did you choose to kind of isolate, but look at what you're doing to isolate. Are you running to video games? Are you running to drugs? Are you running to sex? Are you running to pornography? What is it that you're actually doing to isolate yourself? Pay attention to that, because that is what you've chosen to bury yourself with. That's what you've chosen as your particular earth element thing to bury yourself with. So I want you to organize how you work with your sexual energy. Now, I mentioned the spirit Yamatu earlier. If you're someone who's initiated into the clip-off, go look into the spirit Yamatu. One of the many things that Yamatu deals with is orgasm, specifically masturbation. A lot of people talk about, what's it called? Retention, semen retention, and nofap, and things of that nature. Since we're in this particularly earthy influenced stage of the game right now, it would be wise to pay more attention to how you manage your sexual energy. Long story short, now is a good time to kind of reserve some of that. Because with this being an earthy influenced time, we're dealing with seed, we're dealing with germination, we're dealing with development that's happening underground, right? So this is a good time to really kind of cut back from some things. Jay Baldhill says, I gotta go, but this is hitting Trav. Thank you. See you on the replay. Peace, peace, peace. Good to see you here. Janelle Lucas says, like being between a rock and a hard place. And that fits, right? That fits. Zero says, spiders, insects, dragons, and sea creatures are insane in my correspondences. More spiders like nothing else. Yes. Spiders specifically and dragons specifically are very heavy with this particular current of energy that we find ourselves in. Right? Look into what I'm talking about, and you're going to see these symbols popping up. The dragon and the spider are heavily attuned with the earth energies that are happening right now. Anyways, organize your sexual energy. Don't be wasting it all over the place. Don't use it as a distraction or something to kind of cope with these feelings. Don't do that, because you're actually wasting energy that needs to be utilized right now. In order to manifest the best possible year, you're going to want to move with these energies. You're going to want to dance with them. You're gonna want to pay attention to them and dance with them. Just look at the numbers. Just look at what is being shown to you on your daily path. Symbols, symbols, symbols. Build your library of correspondences. That's how you're able to read all this stuff. It's all about the symbols. All about the symbols. All right, everybody, follow me so far. Aside from the sex, the other thing I want you to organize is your ancestral altar. If you don't have an ancestral altar, maybe it's a good idea to build one. But if you do, when was the last time that you cleaned it off? When was the last time that you dusted it off? When I say organize it, I mean I want you to go back to your ancestor altar and I want you to intuitively reorganize it. Let the altar tell you how it should be placed. Because I guarantee you, you have become more advanced and in tuned to spirit since the last time you worked with your altar. Guarantee it. So go back to that altar and intuitively, right? That means listen. That means put aside the conscious mind and allow these spirits to tell you how to reorganize it. Why? I don't want to go into it too deep, but the ancestor altar is a representation of where you came from. The ancestor altar is a representation of your origin, right? And you are a representation of the current energy, the current manifestation of your ancestors. And you should also have a symbol for the future. So that is your three-part connection. Your ancestor altar, when you look at it and when you work with it, it allows for certain energies to channel into you. And if you work with it correctly, it can actually unlock some things within your subconscious mind. Because deep in your subconscious mind, there's a connection to those ancestors that is still alive. Now, when I say reorganize your ancestor altar, what I mean is reconfigure it. Whether you have pictures of your ancestors, whether you have items and symbols, or whatever you have on that altar, I need you to go and touch it and move things around. First of all, it might be a great idea to take everything off, actually wipe it down and clean it, and then put everything back on according to how the spirit moves you. This is going to allow new things to unlock in the DNA. This is going to allow new things to unlock within your spirit. If you don't have an ancestor altar, maybe this is a good time to make one. And it doesn't have to be anything extravagant. Like I said, you can just have pictures up there. You could just have items of the things that ancestors used. In any case, this is a representation of your past, of where you came from. This is somewhat of an anchor. Once again, we're dealing with heavy earth element right now. The ancestor altar represents the soil and the ground from which you've grown from. All right, so organize your sexual energy. Stop wasting that fire. Maybe plant it. Maybe allow it to germinate. Maybe use this seed for something as opposed to wasting it. Number two, go organize that ancestor altar because there's something in you that is needing to be unlocked in this time. And the best way for you to do it is to look at your past, look at your origin, look at the people who you came out of. Once again, as you should know if you listen to my content before and actually study, this is all symbolic. It's not literal. You're not literally going to move the picture of your grandma and something's going to open up in your pineal gland. This is symbolic, and this is how you communicate to the subconscious mind. Now, I shouldn't have to say that, but I know that there's new people here all the time, and I know that there are people who sometimes things don't click until later. Framestar Films, peace. Benjamin 37, peace. All right, we good so far? Do you guys hear what I'm saying? Mel Hawk, peace. Roses and Rot says, that's so crazy. I had moved mine today. Later I felt like it was all wrong. I adjusted it slightly and it feels great now. All this happened today. What are the odds? I know what I'm talking about, y'all. I'm not just up here bullshitting. Like, I'm telling you what the fuck time it is. And if you're tapped in, then you already know, right? So awesome. Awesome that you picked that up. Mel Hawk says, what do you do if your ancestors are the last people you want helping you? Let me ask you this question. All right. Think of how many people that you know. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 20, 30, maybe 50, 100 max. How many people do you know? Now I want you to think about how many people there are on the planet. 5, 6, 7 billion. Can you conceptualize a billion people in your head? No. So let's think about your ancestor altar. How many ancestors do you have that you don't like and you don't want helping you? You can count them. Now I want you to count the ancestors that you don't know and you will never know, that you've never met, that you've never conceptualized. I want you to count all them. Okay? Now I want you to go back and do what I said and reorganize that ancestor altar. Once again, this is symbolic, it's not literal. It has nothing to do with the actual people on there, but the energies that they represent. I hope that answers your question. Pork Hill says sound is a little high, mainly the background music. Ultra Instinct says just wipe the dust off my altar earlier today. Don't be watching me, Trev. I'm watching the energy, man. It's the ones and the zeros. Okay, let me keep going because there's more to this. There's more to this. So, as far as organizing those energies, make sure that you do that. What we also have here is the why. You know, the why is any of this happening. We're talking about growth. Like I said before, there's a new way to manifest that we're dealing with right now. There's a new way to manifest right now. And there's three things that I want to touch on as far as that. All right, because we want to understand with every shift that happens, you're supposed to be paying attention to those patterns, right? That's how you know that a shift is happening. You're supposed to be paying attention. Why? So that you can gain that new gem of understanding. With every shift, there should be a new understanding, right? There should be a new thing that you've seen or new thing that you've understood. What those gears should be turning and shifting, and something new should be opened up to you with every shift. So there should not be, you should not be online and see on YouTube a shift just happened or whatever, or you shouldn't feel a shift and not get something out of that. Every shift should be an internal lesson. And that's another aspect of what's happening here with this hermit. Going inside and finding that inner light, that inner teacher. With every so-called shift, you are supposed to be learning something, right? There should not be a shift that goes by that you haven't pulled out some kind of gem to add to your crown. If it did, you're not paying attention and you're not doing the work. If a shift has gone by and you didn't shift, you didn't shift your perception of reality, even a little smidgen, then you might need to check yourself. Check yourself. So I mentioned some things to pay attention to, right? There's a new way to manifest, and here it is, right? This new way to manifest has to do with patience. It has to do with observing, with allowing, with submitting. The earth element is a feminine element. You're not forcing anything. You're allowing it to come into play. And I don't want to get too deep in this right now. I'll get deep into it later, but it has to do with your levels of belief. When we talk about manifestation and you watch these little videos online, they say, oh, you just got to believe, and you believe it and it comes true. Well, that doesn't even sound right, right? It sounds right, but when it comes to practicality, you can't just change your beliefs. What I want you to understand is that there are levels of belief. There are layers of belief, right? So when it comes to, like, say, you know that the sun's going to come up around 7 o'clock, 8 o'clock. You know the sun's going to come up. There's no believing it. You don't sit there and stare at a affirmation of the sun coming up. You don't cross your fingers and hope. You don't fantasize and daydream. You don't sit there and think about the sun coming up. You just know it's going to come up, right? And then we talk about, say, oh, I want to manifest $7 million in my bank account. Now you got a vision board. You got some symbols representing your money. You got all these things in your face to try to convince you, right? So there's levels of belief. You don't really believe it, which is why you have all those symbols in your face, right? Now when it comes to the sun, you just know it to the point that you literally don't even think about it, don't even question it. I'm gonna need you to figure out how to get to that point, Okay, so when it comes to, I want you to think about this as a baseline. How do you know that the sun's going to come up? How do you know? I want you to think about that right now. How do you know the sun's going to come up? Do you know that the sun's going to come up because you see it in your head? You see it coming up in your head? Do you know because you feel the sun, like, or do you just feel something in the weather change? How in your five senses do you know that the sun is going to come up? I hope you're paying attention, and I hope you're actually answering this question, because I'm trying to get you somewhere. Kennard says it always has. Okay, so you look back into your memory. Ashley B says, okay, so it always has. What five sense is that? What fifth sense is that? Did you hear that it always has? Did you see that it always has? Did you taste that the sun has always come up? Did you smell that the sun has always come up? Like, what in your, listen to what I'm saying to you. What in your five senses tells you that it always has? If you can't answer that, then you still got work to do. Okay, y'all keep saying the knowing. Listen to what I'm asking you. Which one of your five senses is that knowing happening in? Anyways, when you get that eventually, that's the sense or the channel that you need to activate and use for your affirmations, or whatever thing it is that you're hoping to come to pass. You need to bring it to that level. You need evidence on that level. You have evidence that the sun's coming up. Think about other things in your life that you don't even have to believe, that you don't need a vision board, you don't need an affirmation to do, you don't need a mantra. Think about other things in your life that you automatically know. And I want you to ask yourself, what five sense do I use to know that, right? I know what color my skin is because I can see it in the mirror. I know if it's me talking because I hear what my voice sounds like. I know what my favorite coffee is because I taste it on a daily basis, right? How do I know? So that means whatever this thing that you're trying to manifest, start using that five sense, that channel, to prove it to yourself. Cryo Threads, peace. I hope that you catch what I'm saying. Like I said, I'm not getting too deep into it right now, but we'll do a whole video about that later on if you need it. But just look at what you're saying here. You're telling me through evidence, right? Through repetitive evidence. Well, maybe that's something that you need to build for yourself to manifest. Repetitive evidence. By the way, isn't that an earth element thing? Building, accumulating, stacking bricks. Time after time. Let's keep going. So, new way to manifest. Number 2, starving these parasites. How many people are heavy right now on starving these parasites? Starving old leeches. Who's been feeling that right now? Right? And I don't just mean in your gut, in your body. I mean on social media. I mean in your at the job, in your family, at the workplace. Starving parasites right now. That's another aspect of what's going on right now. Also dealing with the Hermit card. Specifically, the body organ that the Hermit deals with is the intestines. There's a lot going on right now with starving parasites and starving leeches. You've got extra help right now when it comes to that process. You've got extra help right now when it comes to the process of starving out parasites. If you've been feeling that, dial in on it. Put the pedal to the metal. All right, get yourself some diatomaceous earth. Get yourself some, I don't know, I got a bunch of shit. Get what works for you. As above, so below, as within, so without. Deal with the parasites on the inside and deal with the parasites on the outside. Because where you're going now this year, you're gonna need all your energy to yourself. You're gonna need all your energy to yourself so that you can really give birth. Once again, Virgo is the astrological sign that deals with the Hermit card, the Virgin, and she's also giving birth. You're gonna need all your energy for that. So deal with these physical parasites, and also you already know the people who are not good for you, for the people who drain you, for the people who are always talking some slick shit, you know what I'm saying? And you keep being around them, you keep checking and listening and talking with them, and you know what they're gonna do. You already know. Cut that shit off, because when you start going down that spiral, you know where it's gonna lead to. You know where it's gonna lead to. I know it's weird and you don't want to let go, but let go of that. Now is the time to let it all go. Let go of the parasites, the social parasites. And even if it's say for example, you don't like the president or somebody talking on some show or whatever the fuck. Stop tuning into it. Go look at something else. Go listen to something else. Go do something else constructive with your time. You're showing these elemental spirits what you want more of. So if you continue tuning into this nonsense that you don't like, you're only telling the elemental spirits that you want more of this. That's how this game works. So, new way to manifest. Starve these parasites, starve these leeches. You know what they are. You know what you need to cut out. I don't have to tell you, you know. And number 3, telepathic sensitivity is increasing. And I've been saying this before, but if you're doing this work, every little shift that's happening, your telepathic sensitivity should be getting more and more sensitive, more and more sensitive. And right now, I think what's going on is there are a lot of people who are actually learning how to hear these elemental spirits or see these elemental spirits. See, one of the powers of this particular current that we're in is invisibility. Invisibility. Now, let's just say, hypothetically speaking, you were perfectly aligned and in tune with your energy. You could be accessing the city of invisibility and immortality, right? That's just like super, super best case scenario. Obviously, that's not the common thing, but you can see things related to it. There's going to be a heightened sense of telepathic communication with these elemental spirits if you're on your stuff right now. So what that means is you're able to tap into these patterns before they happen, or you're able to get information from the patterns themselves as they're happening, instead of being confused and taking shit at face value. That part's definitely not for everyone. But for those of you who are doing the work and actually tapping into this stuff, you very well might be either seeing some of these elemental spirits or actually hearing some of these elemental spirits. And that's awesome. That's awesome. That doesn't necessarily, that's not like something you have to do. But I know that some people are tapping into it. I could tell you stories myself, but you know. Now, as far as that failure that I mentioned, bro, like, here's the failure. Failure is becoming buried. We're dealing with earth elemental energies right now as a whole. And failure is becoming buried, becoming a literal hermit. That's not what you're supposed to be doing right now. You're not supposed to be cutting yourself off from the world. I know most people suck. Trust me, I probably know better than you. Most people are not very smart, and they're not trying to fix that situation. I get it. But cutting yourself off and isolating yourself off from this world is not the answer. I know. Listen to me. I know. I know better than you know. It's not the answer. Because the deeper you go in spirituality, the more that you see that very clearly. Now look, that doesn't change the work, brother, sister. That doesn't change the work. The energy's absorbed, right? All the shit that you're dealing with, once you come into this path, it doesn't cut off. You're always working with energy. You're always channeling it in, digesting it, and it has to go somewhere. Now here's the thing. If you cut yourself off from the world, if you isolate yourself from these people, if you become a literal hermit, the energies that you're channeling down and you're absorbing, you're not going to be able to earth them, because we anchor them in our interactions with our environment. We anchor these energies in our interactions with people. See, I got it easy. Why do you think I'm making these videos? Because I can channel this energy down and send it out to you, right? The connection is made. The connection is made. Likewise with you and the people in your world, you need these folks, if for nothing else, as an anchor for you to channel your energies into. Now, the spiritual anchor I talked about before, that's your ancestor altar, right? There's also a physical social anchor. You got to stay connected. You got to stay connected. If for nothing else, to be able to ground these energies and to channel them appropriately. You get what I'm saying here? The earth is the basic for your magic. This is the secret that Yama 2 has spoken. Look up Yamatu. The earth itself is the laboratory. You understand? The earth is the laboratory. You're not an earthling. You're not a physical body on earth walking around trying to figure out how to save the world from Trump or whatever drama that your friends are playing with. That's not what's happening. This earth is the laboratory, and the top players understand that. The top players understand that the earth is the laboratory. So you need to be conducting your experiments here. You need to be doing what you need to do and figuring out and learning what you need to learn using the tools and the equipment here in this laboratory. Stop taking this shit so seriously. Stop taking this shit so seriously. Most of these folks that you're dealing with don't know their elbow from their ass. And that's okay. That's okay. That's how the game works. Utilize this place, or else it utilizes you. Okay. Everything cool, everything clear, copacetic, you understand? Message come through? Are we good? Any questions? Any insights? Any breakthroughs? Like, listen to what I said also. If you have any dreams about stones, rocks, megalithic monuments, that's a great sign. That means you're tapping into this particular current. Within a week of this video, before or after, you should be seeing Stonehenge. You should be seeing Stonehenge. You should be seeing some type of rock megalithic structure. That is a beacon. That is a signal coming through the astral plane. I usually don't talk about stuff like that, but fuck it. For those of you who are doing elemental magic work, like I said, a great sign that you are progressing and you're like one of the A students is that you're either being able to see these elementals or hear them, right? And I don't mean all the time like some Disney characters. Maybe just once in a while. Maybe just once in a while. For most people, no. And that's cool. That doesn't mean that you're doing anything wrong. But for those of you who are deliberately honing in on that aspect of the magical work, that's something that's happening. All right. So just checking the comments here. Felix says, I have no friends and my family abandoned me. Should I just try to make new friends or something? I mean, it's always good to make new friends, especially if you need them, but surely you have some human contact somewhere. You have some human contact somewhere, whether it's your landlord or your boss at work or your coworker. There's some human contact, and whatever portion you have is the portion that you work with. Straight Panthers, how do you spell that? Y-A-M-A-T-U, Yamatu. Y-A-M-A-T-U. You see it? Y-A-M-A-T-U. Check that out. You might have to dig for it, but it's in there. Maximilian says, dance vibes have been tugging at me, but the body is weak at the moment. But want to go out and dance so bad, but I'll keep it in-house. Do what you can, even if you have to just visualize it, even if you have to just imagine it for now. That works too. If you can visualize it and really tap into it that way, you're still going to activate some of the brain centers. Digital Alchemist. Peace, peace. Digital Alchemist says everything is in alignment to my current experience so far. Awesome, awesome. Matthew Watson says that's what I think was happening to me. I was just shutting things out and felt something's brewing. I had to use that protection and prosperity rituals, and I already started getting results. Awesome, awesome. Etheric says gargoyles a lot recently. Yes, stone, rock, earth, elementals. Zero says, do you have recommendations to connect better with spiders and dragons? Yeah, to connect better with dragons, man, tap into those crystals. Work with those crystals. Because when we're dealing with dragons, we're dealing with the living currents of earth energy. Tap into these crystals. If you live next to one of the ley lines, that would be a great way as well. Roses and Rot says, I saw some ad for Stonehenge last week. You're on the frequency. Brother Shem L, peace, peace. All right, we good, we good. A little bit cumbersome to see all the comments on the phone. I gotta do it from my computer next time. Nicholas Thothme says, I'm lying here right now looking at this bag of diatomaceous earth. No friends to talk to and a dry erase board with a new self algorithm. My energy is stuck in a sort of depression. Help, please. You gotta get up, man. You gotta shatter it. Think about this current state that you're stuck in like a plane of glass. You've got to throw it down. You've got to throw something at it. You've got to throw. So do something out of the norm. Get up and force yourself to do something different. You're going to have to force it. All right, so it looks like we're done here. That guy's annoying. Gotta block him. Framestar says, had heavy tower moment lately, but is ultimately a step forward then a step back. Lots of rubble and reconstruction energy around me. Yes, that's definitely part of the path. I mean, you know, you know, lots of rubble and reconstruction imagery. Moby says, I'm stitching a dragon right now intentionally. Nice. My gnosis says that I had a dream this evening when I took my nap that I was in a stone-like castle and somebody was communicating with me from the past by making markings in the present on the walls. It was crazy. Nice, nice. All right. Cool. Cool. So that was what needed to be done. Stick with it. I suppose that I'm back. We'll continue the book read tomorrow. What are we on, Yesod? Mystical Kabbalah, we're on Yesod, right? That's what we'll be doing tomorrow. So I'll see you tomorrow evening around 8 o'clock-ish, very close to 8 o'clock. And we will continue the Mystical Kabbalah, the chapter about Yesod, which just so happens to be the number 9. And they're like swimwear, and that's in there. Build your library of correspondences. Be on the lookout for these stones. Look up Yamatu if you are qualified to do so. Cultivate your sexual energy. Get rid of the parasites. Really think about how you know something, right? How do you know the sun's coming up? Because you've seen it a million times. Well, if you want something to change, maybe you need to see it. All right? Check out the replay if you need more. I will see you tomorrow night. This is TK Trev, aka Travis Magus, here with LVX777. I love you.